I'm going to return to the subject of Gaza, and I make no apology for picking up on some Guardian reporting here, which I think is really significant. We're going back to March of 2019. Here's the picture. I think what we're looking at there is white phosphorus, but maybe somebody can tell me otherwise. Buried in it is the headline, Gaza border protests, 190 killed and 28,000 injured in a year of bloodshed. Using UN data, we explore who has been affected, how they were injured, and what life is like in Gaza today. Encourage people to go and find this article and read it. I've taken a little bit out of it, but it's saying that 1 year ago, Palestinians were trapped in Gaza, and they began a protest movement at the frontier with Israel that was intended to last 6 weeks. Men, women, and children demanded recognition of the right of Israel refugees in Gaza and elsewhere to return to their ancestral homes in Israel, and for an end to a punishing blockade that has made life, quote, unlivable. Israeli snipers fired live ammunition, killing and maiming dozens. This lethal response on the 30th of March 2018 triggered anger and disbelief across the world, but has not stopped. And of course, it certainly has not stopped, because now we've got even worse things happening. But it's talking about thousands having bullet wounds, particularly in their legs. And there's graphics included in the article. This one here highlighting 29,000 Palestinians injured and more than 190 killed at the time. We're going back in time here. This isn't current. And an infographic there giving you a scale of those killed versus the immense number injured. Another headline, women and children make up more than 1 in 4 of those injured and killed. Again, this is at the time. This is not the recent violence in Gaza, but it's all horrific. Now, what is the point of this? Well, if we go back to 2021, the ICC was ruling that it could investigate alleged war crimes in Palestine, despite Israeli objections. And another good report from The Guardian here, Palestinian Authority welcomes the ruling that could see prosecution of Israeli officials and military, as well as Hamas figures. So it appears there was balance in what the International Court was trying to do. But let's have a look in a little bit more detail at the key points. ICC cleared its chief prosecutor to investigate alleged atrocities, including the alleged killing of more than 200 Palestinians and 40 children during Gaza frontier demonstrations. Bensouda, a Gambian lawyer, has said she would investigate both the Israeli military as well as Palestinian armed groups, including the Gaza-based Hamas faction, which has been accused of intentionally directing attacks against civilians. Benjamin Netanyahu, that should be, apologies for this typo there, condemned the ruling and said the country would protect our citizens and soldiers in every way from legal persecution, and he's previously called for sanctions against the court. So there we see very quickly the Israelis did not want any investigation, but she argued there was a reasonable basis to believe that Israeli authorities had committed war crimes by moving Israeli citizens into the West Bank to live in settlements. Under the Geneva Convention signed after the Second World War, the transfer of civilians into occupied land is prohibited. Well, this is all being reported factually by The Guardian, but now we come to the crunch of it, because here we are in April 2021 with the headline, Palestine condemns Boris Johnson for opposing ICC Israel investigation. The Prime Minister accused of giving carte blanche to Israel by saying the court had no right to examine alleged war crimes. So a very appropriate picture there, I felt. But if we want to see what's really happening here, we have to go to Conservative Friends of Israel. And this is an immensely powerful lobby group, which we'll be covering more on. But here in their tweet, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has confirmed UK's opposition to ICC investigation, asserting it doesn't have jurisdiction, and it gives the impression of being partial and prejudicial, of being a partial and prejudicial attack on Israel. Well, he'd written a letter to key ministers in government, Right Honourable Stephen Crabb, Honourable Sykes and President Lord Polak. And if we just have a look at this letter and bring it up on screen, we'll do this as quickly as we can. Boris is saying, thank you for your letters of the 10th of February, 3rd of March regarding your concerns about the International Criminal Court's ruling. I'm pleased you were able to meet with the Foreign Secretary on the 9th of March. As you're aware, UK is a strong supporter of ICC in line with its founding statute. We've been working with other countries to bring about positive change at the court. This process has been driven by our ambition to strengthen the ICC, the election of 2 highly qualified UK nationals, Judge Corner QC and Karim Khan QC, to the roles of judge and prosecutor to the ICC respectively, will help serve reform. This was a key priority for the UK, demonstrating our enduring commitment to strengthening the court and serving international justice. But he goes on to say that as a founder member of ICC, we've been one of its strongest supporters and continue to respect the, quote, independence of the institutions. We oppose the ICC's investigation into war crimes in Palestine. We do not accept that the ICC has jurisdiction in this instance, given that Israel is not a party to the Statute of Rome and Palestine is not a sovereign state. This investigation gives the impression of being a partial and prejudicial attack on a friend and ally of the UK. I hope the discussion with the Foreign Secretary helped to assuage your concerns around the UK's position, and I note his offer to speak with the Conservative Friends of Israel to explain the UK position in detail. Thank you once again for writing to me. And if anybody's in any doubt of the power of these organisations, then if you have a look at Conservative Friends of Israel, here is the pinned tweet at the moment. Conservative Friends of Israel works to support Israel and provoke conservatism. We aim to ensure, there's the word, ensure that Israel's case is fairly represented in Parliament. And the pinned video is of Rishi Sunak, of course, saying that his loyalty is to all matters in Israel in the present time of crisis. And it's very quickly followed up by more members of the government speaking out on various issues, but all of them, including David Cameron at the end, expressing their loyalty to Israel. So is Palestine likely to get a fair hearing at an ICC court? It doesn't appear so, because the UK is going to make sure that court is controlled so that it simply has a positive Israeli line. Hugely powerful think tanks, it seems to me, perverting what could be the course of justice. And this is the reality of the power of the Israeli lobby. Many people in UK simply unaware of this power. And thank you to The Guardian for helping to bring at least some of it to the surface.
Debbie,